Vikings fans, I'm Tatum Everett, and this is Opposing Viewpoints Seattle edition. The Vikings welcome the Seahawks into US Bank Stadium. It's a long-awaited return for the purple and gold, and here to bring his perspective from the Vikings side of things is Vikings team reporter Eric Smith. Eric, it is so nice to be home this week finally.
Finally, we're home for 3 straight, so and obviously we need a win with an 0-2 start, so Sunday is a good time to start.
It is a very good time to start, and it's also a very good time to bring in the Opposing Viewpoint. We have Seattle digital media reporter John Boyle here. John, thanks so much for joining us today.
I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you know, both of our teams were it was heartbreak last week. We're both kind of struggling with these last-second defeats from this past week. Hard to get over, but you got to think these are two teams now really desperate for a win.
Yeah, you know, Pete Carroll talked about that in his press conference on Wednesday. This is sort of which team bounces back the best and has the best week of preparation, because you're right. I mean, the Seahawks are sitting here feeling like they should be 2-0 right now. They had a big lead, a 15-point halftime lead, which is the biggest blown halftime lead of the Pete Carroll era in a loss. So it was a tough one for them. They end up losing in overtime. I feel like they really let one get away from them with a lot of self-inflicted wounds, really.
Well, John, if you feel like you should be 2-0, the Vikings also feel the same way. I mean, we have 2 losses by a combined 4 points. So it's been heartbreak city for us too, and probably none more so than last week when obviously a 37-yard field goal went just wide at the buzzer in Arizona. So tough, but, you know, there's 15 games to go, and Mike Zimmer likes where his team is at. He said if we can just keep playing that way, the wins will come. But like we said, the wins need to start going on Sunday.
Yeah, now both teams looking to get – oh, no, go ahead, John.
Sorry, I was just going to say that missed field goal. We're all hoping for that one to go through as well. You know, that NFC West is tough. We take all the help we can get.
Yeah, I know. Both teams really looking to get back on track this week. And I know as Vikings fans, we're excited to see Seattle finally come here for a change. And it's been 637 days since we've seen the fans in US Bank Stadium. And so, John, I know that's going to play a factor in communication. So how do you think this will affect the offense for Seattle this weekend?
You know, they've been a really good road team of late. And, you know, obviously last year everyone had a kind of neutral road setting, but really going back 3 or 4 seasons, they've been a really good road team. They've handled that. You know, they had a tough environment in Indianapolis, which was similar to what you guys have this week, the home opener, with fans really excited to be back, and they functioned really well. So I do think, you know, the Seahawks offense has shown over the last few years that they can perform well in a hostile environment, and, you know, really it's more about just taking care of business on their own end and playing a complete game. You know, we've seen this Seahawks offense look really good in the first half both weeks and then cool off a little bit more dramatically so last week, where they just, outside of one big touchdown, couldn't get going last week at all in the second half.
Yeah, John, it's probably going to be the same story for the Vikings too. I mean, obviously there's a lot of focus this week on Russell Wilson, a guy the Vikings know really well. There's been a joke that Seattle might as well be in the NFC North, you know, because of how often we played you guys the last few years. And with the Vikings, you know, they feel like they're right there, and they need to play a full 60 minutes too. They played maybe a good second half in Cincinnati, maybe a good 3 quarters or so against Arizona. But one area they really need to focus on is the final 2 minutes of the first half. The Vikings have allowed 24 points in 2 games already, and just in that 2-minute stretch. So if they can eliminate that, you know, that's maybe half the points or so they've given up on the season. And we know that Russell Wilson likes to kind of thrive in that 2-minute environment. So again, the Vikings need to play a full 60 minutes. Mike Zimmer said if they can do that, they can win, but they have to prove that they can do that so far.
Yeah, it really was a tale of 2 halves, as you mentioned a second ago, John. That 15-point halftime lead squandered, and the Seahawks led by as much as 14 in the fourth quarter. So which defense do you think we should expect to see on Sunday?
Yeah, it's tough to say. You know, there are a lot of encouraging signs in week 1. The Seahawks defense, really, you take it back to last season, it was kind of a tale of 2 halves. They were, you know, pretty bad statistically halfway through the year. Got the pass rush going midseason, and were a really good defense in the second half of the year. And in week 1, in the first half of week 2, they kind of looked like they were going to be that good defense again. They kept Derrick Henry really bottled up for a half, and then, as great backs do, as you guys well know with Dalvin Cook, they can get going if they get their touches and keep kind of wearing on defense. And Henry got going in the second half. had some big plays, and there were some big plays in the passing game as well. The Seahawks are a little untested at corner. They've made some changes there, and it didn't go great at times. Julio Jones had a big game, so that's going to be a big test this week as well. Is just how do those corners stand up, and if they can keep some of those big plays out of the game that they let up in the second half against Tennessee, I think this defense can play pretty well.
Well, the Vikings offense certainly wants to make it tough on the defense, and they have the weapon to do so. And certainly last week against Arizona, there were plenty of encouraging signs. Obviously, KJ Osborne looked great with his first career touchdown. Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen both scored. So those three guys are really going to try to put the pressure on those unproven Seattle cornerbacks. And we know Dalvin Cook, as John mentioned, he is the focal point of the Vikings offense. As he goes, the offense goes, and we saw that last week. He ran for 96 yards in the first half. That allowed the Vikings to kind of turn to more play-action passes and really got the offense going. They had, I think over 400 yards of offense, and were really clicking. They just had some spurts here and there in the early in the third quarter, late in the third quarter, where it wasn't just clicking all the way. But this offense has the potential to be great, and we talked about playing for full 60 minutes. The offense right now is probably carrying the team because the defense has had a little bit of lapses, including the final 2 minutes of the first half, as we talked about. But being home, the Vikings want to feed off that home crowd, and they're going to probably look to the offense to get it going for a full 60 minutes.
Yeah, I hope we do get to see the offense from week 2 rather than week 1, that's for sure. But we've started a little tradition here on Opposing Viewpoints. It's Hot Take Thursday, so John, I'll let you take this one first. What hot take do you have for this Vikings-Seahawks matchup?
I don't know quite how hot it is, but I'm going to go with, I think DK Metcalf is going to kind of go off. And look, he was our leading receiver last year. He set a franchise record with over 1,300 receiving yards. So this isn't that bold of a take. But if you watch the first 2 games, it's really been the Tyler Lockett show. He's been incredible. He has 278 yards and 3 touchdowns so far, 2 touchdowns over 60 yards. And it's been a little quieter for Metcalf. He's, some of that's been the way teams have been covering him, putting more tension on him. And he's got 10 catches for 113 yards and a touchdown. So it's not like he's been non-existent. He just hasn't been quite his dominant self yet. We've seen a little bit of frustration from him maybe in some of those penalties. And to me, he just is poised to sort of make this a game to get some of that frustration out on an opponent.
And Eric, your hot take is also on the offensive side of things. What you got for us?
Yeah, let's talk about a guy that we haven't even talked about all show, and that's Kirk Cousins. Kirk is playing well. He's essentially led 2 game-winning drives, or what should have been 2 game-winning drives in the first 2 games. And that's something the Vikings have sort of missed from him in recent years, but he's thriving right now. He's not turning the ball over. He's making good decisions, and that needs to continue. So, he needs to keep playing well. And, my hot take is that he is not going to turn the ball over against Seattle, which needs to happen because in recent years, it's been a fumble, it's been an interception at a crucial time where the game has just kind of changed in 5 minutes. The Vikings have the lead, and then it's an untimely interception, an untimely fumble, and all of a sudden the Vikings are trying to play catch-up again. So Kirk has started hot, and I think that hot streak will continue here as we close out September.
Yeah, and who knew Kirk Cousins has some serious wheels from last week. Well, we're going to get to the final part of our show. We're going to make some predictions. So, John, the Seahawks win if?
To me, it's just if their offense in particular plays a full 4 quarters. Like I said earlier, we've seen them come out and look really good to start games and then falter a little bit. And, look, the defense also needed to be better and contain some of those big plays, contain Derrick Henry. But in my opinion, if the offense does a better job finishing drives and stays off the field, those big plays aren't going to happen. So, defensively, stop these big plays, don't let Dalvin Cook get going, and then offensively, just play a full 4 quarters.
All right, Eric, your turn. The Vikings win if?
Yeah, the Vikings are going to win if they can win the battle on 3rd down. And offensively, that's been a struggle so far. I think they're only completing, converting about 30% of their first downs. It's in the bottom 2 or 3 teams in the league. So for as good as the offense has been, 3rd downs have been a little bit of a struggle. And if they can convert more, that's obviously more chances to score. Defensively, obviously, it's focusing on Russell Wilson on 3rd down. Don't let him break the pocket and run for a first down. Don't let him break the pocket and fire a deep pass to Tyler Lockett. The Vikings have faced Russell Wilson so many times over the years, and he's always found a way to beat him. But if you can get him off the field on 3rd down and give your offense more chances to score and outscore that high-powered offense that John talked about, that's going to lead to a win. And obviously, we talk about going home, the first home game in a year and a half. So much electricity is going to be at US Bank Stadium on Sunday. The fans are going to be so key, especially on third down. Let's be loud. Let's cause some penalties. Let's cause some turnovers. If the Vikings can win that third down battle, they will be 1-2.
That's right. Finally, a home field advantage return here in the Twin Cities. Thank you so much to Seahawks digital media reporter John Boyle for joining us here on Opposing Viewpoints. Your Minnesota Vikings look to secure their first win of the season this Sunday kickoff set for 325. For Eric Smith, I'm Tatum Everett. Go Vikings, and we can't wait to see you guys on Sunday.